Hello guys, welcome back. It's been a minute. Movies came out. I finally saw this. I actually saw this the weekend it came out. The movie that, excuse me, the movie that came out, Mortal Kombat, the new one. I saw it the weekend it came out, but it's taking me too long to do this video. It's just been busy, been everything. So yeah. Um, But yeah, so it's been a minute, and also a heads up, I don't know when the next one's gonna be. It hasn't been. I know right now Spiral's out, and I want to see it, but I don't know if I'm going to because I'm the only one in this house that wants to see it. So we'll have to see about that. Um, but yeah, so Mortal Kombat, this new one. Now keep in mind, I haven't seen the old one from '95. I haven't seen that one. So this is my only Mortal Kombat's movie experience. I haven't seen any cartoons or anything besides the games in this. So keep that in mind as I talk about it. So this thing came out, of course, 2021. It's rated R. It's an hour 50 minutes long. It has 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb with about 100,000-ish user votes. Let's see. I'm doing this through my laptop, the note taking. I'm not doing it through my phone, just mainly because I'm using it to record, and I'm seeing that see, I may have to look a little bit here for everything, because it's a little bit, I'm going to have to look in another tab for Metacritic, because I'm curious how Metacritic reviewed this. But first, director, the guy who directed this, his name is Simon McQuoid, I think that's how you pronounce it. He is actually even though this is actually, he only has 2 directing credits. This is his first feature-length direct debut. Actually, this is the first one he's directed. He also directed a very short film, so I mean there's that. But this is his first full-length, feature-length directing debut. Lead guys. First is Louis Tan. He was in, let's see, what was he in? He was in Into the Badlands. He played a main character in Into the Badlands for a couple seasons, it looks like. Main guy. And then the next person is Jessica McNamee. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she was in, let's see, the Meg. She was in the Meg. Alright, and let's take a Metacritic. I'm gonna look at that next here. I'm gonna have to search for it. I thought it would be on this. Because usually IMDb includes it in the app they do. In this, I guess on desktop they don't, which is, it's a design flaw. Alright, the Metascore is 44. With 43 critics. Okay, that makes sense. So now Rotten Tomatoes. This is going to be interesting because, alright, so this movie got 55% by Rotten Tomatoes by 269 critics and 86% by audiences with about 5,000-ish user audiences. Now this is interesting. This isn't on the mobile app. I checked. But on here, I don't know when they added this, but not only do they have a critics consensus, they also have an audience consensus, which I think, I'm surprised they don't have it on their mobile thing, because it'll be a great compare and contrast kind of thing. But we'll get to the consensuses in a little bit. But first, I want to see. Alright, so the number of critics was 269. The number of audiences, I don't know if I can see. Let me take a look at this. I can't get a number. Shoot. Okay, I can't get a number for this. It's whatever. It is what it is. So the consensus on both of these here. Critic consensus. Largely for fans of the source material, but far from fatally flawed. Mortal Kombat revives the franchise in an appropriately violent fashion. Okay, audience says the acting is spotty, and the storyline is a bit rushed. But if you can turn your brain off for a while, Mortal Kombat delivers plenty of graphic violence and intense fight scenes for fans of the video game series. That's pretty accurate. So is the critics. They're both pretty accurate. The audience one, they kind of get a tiny bit more specific, but not by a lot. My initial thoughts. I love this movie. I'm a huge Mortal Kombat is my favorite fighting game series. Is it the one I'm best at? I don't know. Probably not, but it is one I enjoy the most. The characters and story in the games and whatnot. Um, the movie makes it clear that it loves Mortal Kombat. The biggest issue I see a lot of people have with them is the main character, Cole Young. He's a character made for the movie, even though a lot of people compare him to another established character because he has some similarities to that one. They have a lot of issue with him being the main character because this isn't a spoiler because it's already been talked about forever. Johnny Cage isn't in the movie. No, they're building up to him in the sequel. They kind of give a little tease at a random point in the movie of him, of him there in the universe. So yeah, they plan on him coming in. It's no secret that he's going to come into the sequel. It's not a spoiler, really. So it does make the question of where Cole Young character is going to fit in with the remainder of the franchise, because they said they were going to plan on doing more movies. So let me try not to give spoilers, but another thing that those things don't talk about, it's very obvious that they're planning. They do a good thing where they make it feel like they're planning more movies without you realizing that's what they're setting up till the end. So by the end, you're like, oh, they're gonna do more movies of this. Okay, because. And the thing is, the movie does a great job of paying tribute to Mortal Kombat characters. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie, very good ones, and it's fun to see them. So highlights. All the characters are great. There's none of the characters are misplaced or miscast. Everything hits it spot on pretty well. Cole Young, like I said, he's the only character some people have a problem with, just because most people are like, why aren't we using an original character? Why would we make him one? There's plenty of original characters for Explorer. I'm just like, first of all, in my opinion, it's like, you gotta give him a little creative leeway. And second of all, I actually don't mind him. And the biggest reason why I don't mind him, because he's not the typical protagonist. He's not all youngy, ooh, wow, I hope I can do it kind of thing. He's a veteran. He's experienced. He's an MMA fighter. He's been fighting for years. He's a family man. This isn't the typical prodigal son type of story. It's just a guy who got swooped in with everyone else. And he's just trying to make sense of all. And I like that. And here's the thing, what they do a good job is, because has a family, he has a very good relationship with the characters, especially Sonya. Like, they have a very solid friend relationship that it doesn't feel like cheap or dirty. It feels like a legitimate adult friendship, and I really appreciate they have the two main leads not be a love couple. And like I said, and he's not even say he's the prodigal son or the guy who's gonna save everything. He's just a guy who qualifies in helping them stop evil. And the story's kind of more focused on him because they made him the most relatable, because a lot of these other people, they've gone through some crazy stuff, and he's just a guy, really, an MMA fighter kind of guy, cage fighter, just yeah, I don't mind him. Now, do I want to see him nonstop? No. But I think the reason why he just gets the hate is because people are just butthurt that Johnny Cage isn't in the first movie, or some other character. And to be honest, I understand the criticism, I kind of do, but to be honest, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. Because the real issue of the film, a real legit problem with it is a little bit. How do I say this? Um, God, I don't. Because here's the thing: the issue with this film is that it it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Is that it is misleading because a lot of there's this is another criticism, and I don't think I can really say this out loud without spoiling the film, but because it's building towards other movies, there are certain things in a film that aren't really gotten into that a lot of people thought would get into. Um, and I don't mind, to be honest, because the build up to these things, because the thing that they're building up towards is a big thing in the franchise, a huge thing, and I feel like a lot of times the games just constantly, have it, and it gets kind of trivialized. But what I like about the movies with this build up is that it makes it feel more epic. I don't need to see this thing in the first movie. All right, I just want to see this world explored because this is the first cinematic Mortal Kombat movie in decades. I mean, I want it to take its time. I don't want to rush it. The problem with people nowadays is they want a fast food filet mignon. They want high quality food at high quality speed, ready to go, like order. You see, it, they need to let the writers be the writers. They need to stop nitpicking and saying, "Oh, they didn't have this thing I wanted in this movie, so it sucks." As opposed to just accepting what the writer and storyteller gives you and just letting it sit as is. Now, granted, can it still be imperfect? Yes. Could some decisions be better than others? Yes. But it's their story. Accept it for what it is. I mean, good God. That's the part that bothers me. And here's the thing: the movie's cheesy, but a good cheese, not terribly cheesy, a good cheese. It is violent as hell, and I love it. The beginning is really excellent. The rest of the movie is good. Don't get me wrong, but the beginning's really good. And some of it's been spoiled by excessively long trailers and openings being put online. Jeez, guys. I mean, sometimes I wish they took the less is more approach. I barely watch trailers anymore, to be honest, because so many of them give away too much in the movie. They last too long. I only need to see 2.5 minute trailers. I know your movie's gonna come out in a few months. I can wait. I have like 5,000 movies or TV shows I could watch, and that some people are just impatient, I guess. But I think the one thing to keep in mind with this movie is that, and I haven't seen the original. I think in the '95 one they do go through the typical stuff. This movie is not a one and done film. They're planning ahead. There's going to be a lot of things in this movie that they're not going to show or touch on. This is a world building film, but it can stand at its own adventure because there is stuff going on. There is bad guys and good guys. They're fighting a battle over specific things, and it is a story. It may not cover specific things you want to see, because here's the thing: the first Mortal Kombat movie from '95, the original version, they just did everything in one movie. They didn't really plan on it really going any further than that, really. I mean, maybe they did, but not really that well, and they kind of probably mostly expected it to just be one and done. This film isn't doing that. So don't come in thinking you're going to get the whole meal. You're going to get the first course. It's a great course. It's cheesy, it's fun, it's violent. And yeah, I will say the acting is a little bit uneven. Mostly, and the thing is, a lot of people say it was with the Cole Young actor, but to be honest, everyone in this film has a moment where it feels a little bit on the cheese side. And when I mentioned Easter eggs a little bit ago, they sneak in a lot of sayings. Some of them are quite clever at first, but after a little bit, you're just like, okay, we get it. It's funny, it's cheesy, but slow it down a little bit. There's certain phrases and stuff you're not gonna get away without sounding a little forced. I mean, it's fine, but it's just something just to keep in mind. And that's the thing with this movie is that it pays tribute to a lot of Mortal Kombat, but it's also trying to do its own ambitious thing. And nowadays, people don't like things that try to do their own thing. People want things to want things to live up to expectations they create in their own heads. And that's another thing that's possible with this movie, overhype. This movie got promoted so much and everyone was like, ooh, 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 yeah, yeah. And I think when people saw it, they're like, oh, wait, this is Mortal Kombat. You know, people, first of all, I knew exactly I was getting in this. It's Mortal Kombat. I knew they weren't going to fuck it up. But I think a lot of people were expecting a movie that was going to be like Avengers good. And it's just like, just stop. It's Mortal Kombat. I mean, yes, can it be great? Can it be critically acclaimed? Sure, if they have the right story, but this is the first movie in a universe building thing. And they can do a universe with this movie. There's enough characters, enough potential story arcs and storylines that they can do that can help build its own universe. It is possible with patience from everyone involved, the filmmakers and the audience. But they can't do that if the audiences keep demanding shit and it ends up being like fucking Last Skywalker, where we see Chewie get a little fucking little medal and all that shit. No. No, it's to me, I think the most important thing to keep in mind is don't take the film so seriously. Go in there with an open mind. Don't just automatically assume that they're gonna pretty much deliver you the 95 film, but make everything like Avengers quality. That's not gonna happen, and it's never gonna happen. It's Mortal Kombat. You know exactly where you're getting yourself into, especially if you're a fan of the video games. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And yes, they're gonna make choices that you may not 100% see or agree with, even. But it's their choices. Just accept them and move on. But yeah, I really do like the movie a lot. I think the only things that really, most of the things that bother me is actually from the people criticizing it more than the movie itself. But I think the only thing I would say is, like the thing says, the acting is a little bit uneven across most of the actors. Most of the actors at least have one moment where it feels a little bit, because a lot of these guys, they're not really well-known actors or actresses. This is kind of them still honing their craft a little bit. They're obviously casting for actors to be in the characters instead of just having Tom Cruise play a character, for example. They're obviously casting these guys. I will say there's actually one actor in this that I did know. It was the guy who plays Jax was in Supergirl for a long time, so I know him. That's one guy I know. And there's some of the bad guys I think I know. The main bad guy I think I've seen in other things, but yeah, it's mostly a newer cast. They're young. They're kind of getting their teeth into things. And yeah, the writing isn't perfect. It's a little unpolished, and yeah, they do kind of manipulate Mortal Kombat mythologies just a tad in terms of like how the characters become who they become and whatnot. Kind of simplify it a little bit, which I don't mind because, in all honesty, video game mythology with long-term series can be a fucking mess. I mean, they criticize these movies for not being 100% accurate, but to be honest, I prefer simplification over anything. Okay, I don't need to pick at plot holes. If there's a good way to simplify people becoming who they become, then that's all fine by me. I don't need to overthink that shit. But yeah, I could go on this movie for a little bit, but I think that's gonna be good. I wanted to live stream this, but I just don't have stuff set for live stream right now. So I'm recording it. I usually like to live stream movie theater reviews, but I'm recording it. So hopefully I see another movie this year. I'm hoping so. It might not be Spiral, although I want it to be. I know there's Marvel movies coming out this year, so I'll probably do some of them. And hopefully get them out a lot sooner than this. I'm so sorry this is coming out late. I hope the movie's still in theaters. If it's not, then it's gonna come out pretty at some point. But yeah, it's a very good movie. I do recommend checking out. Just see it as its own thing, and don't nitpick its use of differences compared to the video game lineage or whatever. Just let it be its own thing and enjoy for what it is. Okay, if there's other things you have issues with, I understand, but don't just dismiss it because it does a couple things differently. I mean, differences aren't bad. Differences can be good. But yeah, that's all I have to say. It's a solid movie. I do recommend checking out. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. In case you want to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Campy Company, you don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. Find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a discussion tab on our channel as well. You can access that through a PC or laptop computer. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and